in a beautiful old mansion on the Upper East Side. It had a tradition that appealed to parents of very bright, sociable children. Dibs's mother had prevailed upon the headmistress to accept him. She had used influence through the board of trustees to have him admitted. Dibs's great aunt contributed generously to the support of the school. Because of these pressures, he had been admitted to the nursery school group. The teachers had suggested several times that Dibs needed professional help. His mother's response had been repetitive: give him more time. Almost 2 years had gone by, and even though he had made some progress, the teachers felt that it was not enough. They thought it was unfair to Dibs to let the situation drag on and on. They could only hope that he might come out of his shell. When they discussed Dibs, and not a day went by that they did not, they always ended up just as baffled and challenged by the child. After all, he was only 5 years old. Could he really be aware of everything around him and keep everything locked inside? He seemed to read the books he pored over. This, they told themselves, was ridiculous. How could a child read if he could not express himself verbally? Could such a complex child be mentally retarded? His behavior did not seem to be that of a mentally retarded child. Was he living in a world of his own creation? Was he autistic? Was he out of contact with reality? More often, it seemed that his world was a bruising reality, a torment of unhappiness. Dibs's father was a well-known scientist, brilliant, everyone said, but no one at the school had ever met him. Dibs had a younger sister. Her mother claimed that Dorothy was very bright and a perfect child. She did not attend this school. Hedda had met Dorothy once with her mother in Central Park. Dibs was not with them. Hedda told the other teachers that she thought the perfect Dorothy was a spoiled brat. Hedda was sympathetically interested in Dibs and admitted she was prejudiced in her evaluation of Dorothy. She had faith in Dibs and believed that someday, somehow, Dibs would come out of his prison of fear and anger. The staff had finally decided that something must be done about Dibs. Some of the other parents were complaining about his presence in the school, especially after he had scratched or bitten some other children. It was at this point that I was invited to attend a case conference devoted to Dibs's problems. I am a clinical psychologist and I have specialized in working with children and parents. I first heard about Dibs at this conference, and what I have written here was related by the teachers, the school psychologist, and the pediatrician. They asked me if I would see Dibs and his mother and then give the staff my opinion before they decided to dismiss him from school and write him off as one of their failures. The meeting was held in the school. I listened with interest to all the remarks. I was impressed by the impact of Dibs's personality on these people. They felt frustrated and continually challenged by his uneven behavior. He was consistent only in his antagonist, hostile rejection of all who would come too close to him. His obvious unhappiness troubled these sensitive people who felt its desolate chill. I had a conference with his mother last week, Miss Jane said to me. I told her that in all probability we might have to drop him from school because we feel we have done all we can to help him and our best is not enough. She was very upset. But she's such a difficult person to figure out. She agreed to let us call in a consultant and try one more time to evaluate him. I told her about you. She agreed to have a talk with you about Dibs and to let you observe him here. Then she said if we couldn't keep him here, she would like us to give her the number of a private boarding school for mentally retarded children. She said that she and her husband have accepted the fact that he is probably mentally retarded or brain damaged. This remark brought forth an explosion from Hedda. She would rather believe he is mentally retarded than admit that maybe he is emotionally disturbed and maybe she is responsible for it, she exclaimed. We don't seem to be able to be very objective about him, Miss Jane said. I think that's why we have kept him as long as we have and made so much of little progress he has made. We couldn't bear to turn him away and not have some hand in defending him. We've never been able to discuss Dibs without getting involved in emotional reactions of our own about him and the attitudes of his parents. And we're not even sure that our attitudes about his parents are justified. I'm convinced he's on the verge of coming through, Hedda said. I don't think he can bear to keep his defenses up much longer. There was obviously something about this child that captivated their interests and feelings. I could feel their compassion for this child. I could feel the impact of his personality. I could sense the overwhelming awareness of our limitations to understand in clear, concise, immutable terms the complexities of a personality. I could appreciate the respect for this child that permeated the conference. It was decided that I would see Dibs for a series of play therapy sessions if his parents agreed to the idea. We had no way of knowing what this might add to Dibs' story.